Thank you all for being here. If you will all please rise for tonight's invocation, which will be given by Pastor Matt McCollum of Trinity Presbyterian Church. And I'll ask you to please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Oh God, you are utterly holy, all-powerful, unchangeable, eternal, and yet you come to us in the most humble of ways. We thank you for this season when we remember that you truly are God with us. We pray for our city council that you would be with them now, give them wisdom that they might work for the good of all people. We pray these things in the name of the one who comes to us at Christmas. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Reverend McCollum. Appreciate you. Okay, council, first order of business tonight will be to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting, the work session, and agenda meetings which were held on the 9th of December. Do you have any changes, additions, or deletions to those minutes?
Make a motion we approve as presented.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve them as presented. Any further comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, those minutes are approved. Do we have anyone from staff that's going to give the mayor's report tonight? Okay, no report from the mayor tonight. Public participation on agenda items. If you would like to speak to items 5 through 27, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Francis Rip, 22985 High Ridge Road, Rip Report and Backstory Podcast, number 6 and number 12. On number 6, how many units is that?
42 residential, 1 commercial.
That, none of you were on the council when Wendell Barnhill started this project. He changed it 3 times. He did it right every single time he came back. He went to planning and zoning. He did everything that was called upon him throughout the entire number of years, which is about 6 or 7 now that he's been dealing with this. And I have no problem with his project, but I can tell you what the problem's going to be for Wendell. When they built the Publix, they broke every rule there was. Every single rule there was. They took out the right-of-ways. Oh, also Wendell was supposed to have a tree survey, which he had to pay for. But you know what happened with the tree survey on the Publix property? It was hidden by the planning department. Then when it was discovered, the tree committee assessed over a $900,000 value on the number of trees that was taken down. Nobody did anything. The other thing they did was they changed the entrance. Just whatever the hell they wanted to do over there at Publix, they did. So they changed the entrance. Where'd they put the entrance? Right in front of his property. So now you have 600 people that are going to be up at the apartments. You have 48 townhomes, and they're going to try to get out on Parker Road. Now, right now, the citizens up there in that area, 50 of us, it's going to increase 15-fold. You talk about traffic, Jack? Look at Parker Road. You guys are responsible for that right there, and it's going to get worse. No one did anything to Mr. Cordy. The road, Parker Road, has yet to be mitigated at all, and is a responsibility of the developer. He has done nothing to repair anything there, and the issues involved are ALDOT, the county, the city, pedestrian walkways. I mean, you got a real serious problem there. No one's paying any attention. What did he do? What did Wendell do? He went and bought a rear exit. He made sure he could get out on his property, and the people that he was selling to had a way to get out. They're not going to get out on Parker Road. They're not going to do it. We already got it jammed up now. You can't get in. Public's going to feel the strain, and so is everybody else. They're already cutting through the Publix parking lot because they can't get out on 98. Just imagine when they open it. And when they open it, you better be sure that the certificate of occupancy is for the entire project finished. Not open piecemeal, finish a building and then allow them to do what they want to do. Until they mitigate Parker Road. That is a serious problem there. You got a fire station up there. That fire truck can't get out of there. Ain't no damn way he can make that intersection down there. If it's blocked, it's blocked. And he can't force them out of the intersection either. That's on number 6. On number 12, who are you leasing, who are you thinking is going to lease this farmland that you just paid $2.65 million to? Who's interested in it, Jack?
There are farmers that are interested in it.
The farmer that owned it?
I'm not at liberty to say.
Yeah. Well, if it's the farmer that owned it, then why in the world didn't you do a lease to purchase?
Well, let me tell you, it's not the farmer that owned it. He's expressed no interest in it.
So we're going to lease it. 5 years, that's how long you had the last one. You had to buy that property, 2.65, get out there, close it, finish the deal.
Anything that I do, I'll just tell you this too, would be a 1 year with provisions of less time.
You ain't going to do anything on that property for years, and you know it. And you know it. You know, so far this year, within the last 6 months especially, you guys established yourself early on as bullying the mayor, and not until the black preacher showed up and called you down did you start slowing down on it. You violated your oath of office. Conflict of interest is right out the door. Alabama Ethics Code, you're against that. Transparency and accountability, no way. Canons of judicial ethics, no way. You had to go to federal court because you wouldn't allow anybody to speak, and you lost that and had to pay that and the law fees. Yeah, you think it's funny, huh, Jack?
It's real
that
funny.
was taxpayer money.
What you're saying is real funny.
Community engagement, nothing. Lying to your constituents, quite often. I started thinking, you know, how
What
could
is
I?
this related to?
What is this related
Yes,
to?
sir.
This is
What
related to
agenda
number
item?
12.
In what way?
What do you mean in what way? This kind of goes in the whole thing. Every one of these things goes with it, Jack. Every one of them. But you know, about 4 or 5 years ago, a very prominent attorney told me, he said, I'll tell you something, Rip, there's 2 things going on here. 1, they're rigging the elections. And 2, they operate this town like a criminal enterprise. Well, in 08, they suspected rigged elections. In 12, they did again. But in 16, we were ahead on the Secretary of State. He came down here and oversaw the elections. And you had a real big difference, didn't you? So I started thinking, how can, you know, what would be a good explanation to this council? The FBI defines a criminal enterprise as a group of individuals with an identified hierarchy or structure engaged in significant criminal activity. I submit to you that a hierarchy or the structure is the good old boys and catalyst. Now, you got a lot of people hoodwinked, but I can assure you, I'm going to spend the rest of 2020 making sure that they understand
Thank
it.
you for your comments, sir.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else that wants to address agenda items 5 through 27? Okay, we'll close public participation on agenda items and remind everyone that you'll have another opportunity to address the council and any other items of concern at the conclusion of tonight's agenda. Council comments. Councilman Robinson.
Yes, I wasn't here for the last meeting. I just wanted to thank Paige and Jessica again for the Christmas parade. It's always so well done and such a fun time for us. And the Christmas parade committee that's full of volunteers. It's really amazing what we can do around here and how many volunteers we have that are willing to serve and what a great job they do and all the time that they spend doing it. And then I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. That's all.
Thank you. Councilman Conyers?
Just Merry Christmas, everybody. That's it.
Okay. Councilman Brown?
No comment.
Councilman Boone?
Well, third time, and I hope everyone has a very happy and safe Merry Christmas.
Okay. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and also just echo what Jay said about the Christmas parade. It was a wonderful event. It was well attended. I am curious, and you don't have to answer the question, Jessica, give us some feedback on what happened on the Saturday night as well. I know that the Art Center had their big to-do on the Friday night in conjunction with the parade. I would like to have seen that been on a Saturday night, to be honest. But anyway, I'd like to see if we had a boost in the, I guess, did we make an economic impact on Saturday night, having the first Friday on Saturday night? Yeah, I'm seeing a no over there. But anyway, we gave it a shot. And with that, I'll close council comments, and I will move council with no objection. I'm going to move item 8 on the agenda up to the next item so that we could get an announcement out to the employees that are still here for the next 15 minutes. I did have several people ask me about this being off all day tomorrow, and if we could get a vote on this, maybe some of you staffers out there can send out text messages. I did tell Lisa that I did expect it to pass, but that I certainly didn't know. I couldn't guarantee it. So I'm going to move to agenda item 8, which is a resolution. The City Council, pursuant to Section 7.01 of the City of Fairhope Personnel Rules, Policies and Procedures, grants December 24th, 2019 as a Christmas Eve holiday as a whole day, as opposed to the half day that it is currently, and that it will be observed by all city personnel, and emergency and on-call employees will report to work as needed. So may I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. If anybody on the staff's watching this council meeting, you can tell your coworkers that you are off tomorrow.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. All right.
Except for Jeremy, you'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Moving on to item 5, this is the final adoption of an ordinance to amend zoning ordinance number 1253, a request to rezone the property of Rosetta Wasp and Mildred Brown from R2 medium single-family residential district to B3B tourist resort commercial service district. The property is generally located at 309 South Ingleside Street in Fairhope, Alabama. This was introduced at the December 9th City Council meeting. Hunter?
Thank you. I have been challenged by my coworkers to make this quick. I have the next three items, so if we lose.
We challenge you also.
Yes, if we lose any details, please ask questions. This is R2 to B3B, intent immediately to use the existing house as a restaurant, located on the northeast corner of Nichols Avenue and Ingleside Street. By the aerial on the screen, this is just south of Thomas Hospital. The image to the left is the house in its current condition. The image on the right kind of shows a couple of other restaurants in that area that we will kind of address in just a second. This is within the medical overlay district, which is important to our support. To the east is R2's single-family residential. To the south is R2 and M1. B4 to the west, and R4 to the north. This is, by our comprehensive plans and the way we review these cases, this is not in a village, but it is, the medical overlay district is public facilities, which in this case is Thomas Hospital is the main anchor that attracts compatible development. It acknowledges restaurants as compatible and to support that use. In compliance with the goals and standards of the ordinance, the appropriate facilities for the medical community it serves is a major component of the medical overlay district. This restaurants are certainly something that is compatible and needed. And to further illustrate that, there is an accessory use of restaurants in the medical overlay district, and we have recently changed M1 zoning to allow that use. There are, as we saw in the overhead, two existing restaurants. The choice for B3B, I think this came up last meeting. When we looked at where restaurants were allowed, this is kind of a transition zoning with single-family residents across the street. It's not quite as impactful as M1, but a little softer use as we transition to the residential neighbors. B3B, we can't just look at restaurants, we have to look at the other uses within B3B. Green here is allowed by right, yellow has restrictions, red by their restrictions or their locations. For example, a marina is not going to take place here. Originally, mixed use kind of gave me some heartburn, and I think we talked about that with the applicant, but further review of the medical overlay district, anywhere there, regardless of base zoning, allows that use. So there really wasn't anything that threw up red flags on the lit uses here. The rest of the criteria is pretty self-explanatory, no major impacts are foreseen. 8, just a quick note, because this is transitioning from if approved, transitioning from residential to commercial, there's some different requirements by our tree ordinance and buffering against the adjacent neighbors to the north. So we'll address that at an appropriate time. This is the proposed site plan as currently intended. As we said, it is a use of the existing building with some additions to kind of modernize, I think, some of the facilities. Proposed architectural elevations. These are, just note, these are not required by the zoning change, unlike a PUD. This is just for reference. And the historic plat that shows the unique setbacks. This did make it through Planning Commission, who unanimously voted to recommend approval. Staff is recommending approval with the 2 following conditions. Replat to remove the old setbacks and add the new. And we had a conversation with the applicants. On Nichols, there's a break in the sidewalk in front of this area. There's a drainage ditch there. And the applicants have agreed to put a sidewalk on their property. So if we require the public easement for that, showing that sidewalk on the plat when time. And any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Hunter, I have one question on a B3B tourist resort commercial services. Does it have to have a tourism component to it?
It does, and my logic there is we think tourism, and I think B3A actually refers to the bay as the tourist attraction, but in this sense, the hospital actually brings out-of-town visitors. So that's not our general idea of tourism, but there is out-of-town guests that need the amenities. So that was kind of the logic on where we landed on B3B.
What does the code say on that, of B3, on the tourism? What
What
does it state?
It is generic for tourism for the city. It does not define like B3A. So it is just for the tourism industry. So that, we have temporary residents here attracted by the hospital. I think that's one of our bigger economic draws and brings people from a region. I know that's not our traditional
I would almost think
definition
of that
of
as a business draw, I don't know if that's a tourism draw. What I'm afraid of is setting precedent.
Mhm.
And, I don't have a problem with what they want to do there, but I just want to be sure that's the most appropriate zoning.
Jack asked the same thing, and Hunter's kind of explanation on that was just kind of a transition zoning from the residential to the light
The
industrial.
softer, as you mentioned
It
earlier.
is. When you look at the zoning districts that allow a restaurant, this is probably the most soft. We could allow B1, M1, but we also have residential adjacent to this on 3 sides. So this is that softer use that still allows a restaurant. So we don't have to worry about some of the additional uses.
Other questions, council? No? Okay. Thank you, Hunter. Okay, council, I'll entertain a motion for final adoption.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for final adoption. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none. Clerk, will you call the question?
Council President?
Aye.
Place 2?
Aye.
Place 3?
Aye.
Place 4?
Aye.
Place 5?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item number 6 is a final adoption of an ordinance to amend zoning ordinance number 1253. A request to amend ordinance number 1273, known as the East Park subdivision, the planned unit development. The property of Wendell and Charlotte Barnhill is located on the north side of Parker Road between US 98 and High Ridge Road at 7625 Parker Road. This was also introduced at the December 9th City Council meeting. Hunter?
Quick summary of this is a PUD amendment to the East Park PUD that was approved in 2005. Acreage is increasing on this by half an acre, and we'll explain that in a little detail. The single-family lots are decreasing from 47 to 42. One additional commercial lot one commercial lot is added. Density is decreasing. Road length is decreasing, and green space is more than doubling. This is located to the north of Parker Road, across from Publix in the Flat Creek PUD. Kind of zoomed in there. The kind of history on this site prior to 2005, this was a 90-unit mobile home park within unincorporated Baldwin County. In 2005, the city approved this PUD. Just a quick note to help clarify anybody looking at these documents. The highlighted spot here was lots 30 and 31. They were included in the previous PUD, but when platted, were left out of the PUD. So that's where you see the increase in acreage. It's really not anything additional. It's just kind of cleaning up the way the paperwork happened. But that, for reference, that is the lot here that is the newly proposed commercial component. This is the proposed site plan. As you can see, the green space has grown greatly, and the road network has been reduced. Density is dropped from 3.88 to 3.4. In regards to the adjacent properties, single family to the north and south, unincorporated medium density family to the west, and commercial Baldwin County to the east. To the south is the commercial component of Fly Creek PUD, so as we said before, Publix and those supporting commercial uses within that development. Zoning dimensions are included on the site plan, but also in addition to the site plan on this, the narrative is included in the ordinance of the PUD, which this table comes from. So setbacks, building sizes, those things are included in Exhibit B. Accessory structures and accessory dwellings are prohibited on the residential lots. A little about the commercial lot. This is adjacent to commercial at the Fly Creek PUD across Parker Road, and to the south of the entrance right-of-way at the CEFCO station, right there on the corner of 98 and Parker Road. That is in the county. To the north, it does abut an existing residential lot. That this change will trigger some buffering issues, that they'll have to buffer that commercial lot against the residential. There is a secondary ingress egress provided by an easement. This is not going to be improved to a public standard, so this will be an access for the residents of that site. We are also requiring an easement to the sewer lift station that will be to the city. When this went to Planning Commission, it had 4 conditions of approval. As you see here, those are struck through because they have met all of those requirements. Planning Commission unanimously voted to recommend approval, and staff is recommending council for approval with one condition, and that is during the subdivision case, show the Highway 98 access easement and lift station on the plat. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Hunter, did I miss that? Did you show a lift station on the plat?
Yes, sir. It is covered up by the highlight, but it is here. And this is the detention area, and the lift station will be just to the north. And I believe that's a 20-foot easement that they're going to provide to the city. You want to see the overall site plan? I can navigate.
Going back to that other access, it says it's not going to be a public road. That first bullet, the last comment there, how would it be accessed then? Is it,
This is the one that is the access to 98 that'll be more for the residents to access on and bypass Parker Road. That can't meet public standards because it's only, I believe, a 30-foot right-of-way. Our public standards for a road is greater than that. The second bullet point is the easement that's shown in this highlighted area, and I kind of cover up the dashed and the label there, but that is this area that's just from the public road that will end here. See, the public right-of-way kind of stops here. That will be on the private property where the easement is going into the lift station.
do we have anything that says that we're not going to be responsible for the maintenance of that private entrance?
There is nothing transferring that maintenance to us, so by
Okay.
its nature, Richard,
Is that
any worries on
necessary?
that?
The easement belongs to the property already. It was used as an access point when it was a mobile home park, and it's in the county. So even if they tried to make it public, they'd have to go to the county for acceptance. We couldn't accept so
Okay. All right.
it's just an existing legal easement of ingress and egress for that property, and they're gonna continue to use it. It's just not a right of way.
Yeah.
It will never be considered a public.
I thought of other access points in that general vicinity that have been disputed recently, and just trying to look forward and see if we might run into any kind of pitfalls with that.
And point of clarification on here, this easement is between the church and this property owner. We don't have the easement.
Okay.
So the only
That's back
easement that
behind
will be to the city,
church.
right, will be the lift station. That will be accessed from a public right-of-way.
Okay. Questions, council? Any other questions? Okay, thank you. All right, council, hearing no further questions, I'll entertain a motion for final adoption.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for final adoption. Any further comments?
Would that be a motion with staff's recommendation?
With all the recommendations been removed, right?
There was,
We did, just to clarify, make sure the easements are on plat, or platted.
Yes, with staff recommendations.
thank you.
Okay, that is with staff recommendations. Is that second with them as well, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Good question, Jay. We may have to revisit that previous ordinance as well, because that was not stated. All right, clerk, I have a motion and a second. If you'll call the question, please.
Council President?
Aye.
Place 2?
Aye.
Place 3?
Aye.
Place 4?
Aye.
Place 5?
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Now, I did not hear in that motion for item 5, subject to staff recommendations, and I believe there were a couple of recommendations, and sometimes we may just assume they're implied, but clerk, do you think we should go back and revisit that and just ask for the motion real
Yes, I
quick?
do.
Okay, do we just need
I
to,
make a motion, we approve with staff recommendations.
For item number 5.
item 5?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Jimmy. We'll allow that.
I'll
All right, do we
second.
have a second?
I do, second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This is back to item 5 with staff recommendations. Okay. Clerk, if you'll call that question, I have a motion and a second.
Council President?
Aye.
Place 2?
Aye.
Place 3?
Aye.
Place 4?
Aye.
Place 5?
Aye.
Okay, thank you, council. I just don't want a legal challenge to that in the future. All right. Item number 7 is the final adoption of an ordinance to amend ordinance number 1631 and ordinance number 1656 to extend the moratorium on the filing of rezoning, site plan approval, and multiple occupancy project applications within the corporate limits of the city of Fairhope through and including May 1st, 2020. This was introduced at the December 9th, 2019 City Council meeting.
Thank you again. I'm going to kind of just touch on a little bit of what we've learned on the moratorium or the green overlay and where we're at, kind of just a status update. At the core of what we're doing here is a shift in the way we're planning the city along this highway. The land use plan to the left from 1974 showed this kind of nodal village concept, and you have buffered by residential areas. These concepts go back to at least 1954. Out to the right is the overlay district, and it's basically a shift to corridor planning from those nodes. And our base zoning does not offer the appropriate solutions for this transition. So I think we see more and more applications for the move, with a proposition to rezone these residential properties to commercial. When we are revisiting these things, some of the things we keep hearing with Fairhope is this transition. What happened with this residential created a uniqueness to Fairhope along this corridor that's not a traditional commercial development strip that you see. And one of the big attributes of that is this tree coverage. So looking at what our previous proposal did, these form-based codes had a build-to line that was similar along the 6.5 mile stretch, and we started looking at some examples. This is a lot that you might be familiar with, and if we required that building to move to the front, we lose that great oak tree that's in the front yard. So we lose some of those aesthetics. This is just outside of the city, but I thought it was a great example to use. There's an apartment complex, Greeno Roads, just adjacent to the high school. You can't tell the apartments are there. They've buffered them by a grove of trees that is, unless you're looking down the drive, you can't even see they're there. One of the other things we noticed by pushing buildings to the front, this is an example of where I think this concepts really work. There's 3 drive-throughs on this site, and by allowing that one drive-through lane, you're maintaining the circulation on their site, not pushing it out to the road. But everything else we were trying to accomplish with the first draft, parking behind the front building line, connections to the mixed-use trail is happening here. But so a little flexibility in the form-based zones are something we really want to look at. And you can think that kind of a Legos. There's defined shapes and sizes to Legos, but if you've got enough, you've got the flexibility to build something, and that's what we're looking at. So what's taking so long? Us planners have a hidden tool. We copy and paste a lot. We look at what's working in other communities and adapt that. And what we found through this process was some of those items didn't work. So looking at what we can do by being original and using the things that we know work here in the community likes as kind of guidelines. So this is just one example of what these new form-based codes can be. So in an area where someone might desire an outdoor sales, this allows that area a build-to line that's more flexible. And then really the only constraint there is moving the building or parking behind the building. What we're doing there is we then apply that to some of the areas. Cecil's old time feed was used and it's unfair, he doesn't know this is out here, but he didn't know that the group had used this as going to be one of the things that this kills. But by making this flexibility and some different tools, we basically create a lot of where our previously proposed idea created a lot of nonconformities. We are now allowing these things to sit without the applicability issues that the previous draft had, which pretty much every building on Greeno would have been a nonconformity had we put a build-to line 6.5 miles that was the same. And also some of the standards that were triggered by the relatively minor changes such as landscape. If we make some of the properties there conform by our flexible form-based code. And we also acknowledge the overlay is putting a burden on existing property owners and kind of softening those applicability issues. I think we can come to a solution that everyone can accept. There's also a lot of talk about four-sided architecture standards, and that is a very well-meaning, and I think that is a component we need to look at long-term. I don't think even if the moratorium is extended, we can really accomplish that in our short period of time, but I think we do intend, if this ever passes, to amend this to address this issue. This is a site in Vestavia, and they had almost the same type of overlay, and the intent was for windows, doors, all of these things, a sidewalk. It's incredibly similar to our previous proposal, but what you see there is windows aren't transparent, doors are the metal security doors, the sidewalks aren't used. So there's some intentions that just kind of miss the mark a little bit. So when we look at long-term on what the visibility looks like or the aesthetics of buildings look like, I think we need to give a little more time for that and not address that as much in this first draft or this revised draft. But I think what our flexibility of these forms will allow us to do is basically, if you want visibility for a building, it needs to look good. If it doesn't, hide it behind some trees. And then I think we've got a solution that gives a nod to the way Greeno has developed, and you kind of get this ebb and flow of landscape and buildings instead of just your traditional, commercial strip. I know Airport Boulevard, but they're all over the country. So, and that's what happens with base zoning. If you don't have anything and you rezone these properties, it's anything that comes along with that use. And one more word about the rumors out there. There's a lot of misinformation and rumors, and we do not get on social media. We can't do that but the latest one was kind of I like the humor. I have to commend them for that. But there was some misinformation out there that now zoning changes we're trying to make is an attempt to implement the overlay. There's the summary of the zoning amendments that council will see in the coming month. And none of those have anything to do with Greeno. Most of those are residential properties. Definition of the director of planning. That's PUDs could potentially, but they're PUDs everywhere. So those are our proposals, and just to be clear on what that is. So if I can answer any questions on this, I'll be happy to.
Questions, council? We appreciate that. Appreciate all your efforts on that too, Hunter, you and all the people in the planning department. I know it's been a bear.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, council, on item 7, a final adoption. Do I have a motion for final adoption?
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. Clerk, will you call the question?
Council President?
Aye.
Place 2?
Aye.
Place 3?
Aye.
Place 4?
Aye.
Place 5?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We've already passed item 8. We'll move to item 9, which is the approval of the regular city council meetings for the calendar year 2020. Council, if 2019 is an indication, we've shown flexibility in moving council meetings all over the map, but this is just a guideline. There's really not many changes on the calendar for next year, but those should probably work, and any others that we need to make. So may I entertain a motion to approve those meetings?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, those regular city council meetings are approved. Item number 10 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute a contract with Compass Media for tourism advertising for the Coast 360 Guide and Coast 360 Concierge for the Economic and Community Development Department with a cost of $9,425. And council, before this is on a green sheet, and this has all been budgeted, but I've heard at least some concern about this, so there's not a motion made and a second, and then there's not some surprise. Jessica, can you tell us, because we didn't have the advantage of having an agenda meeting, can you tell us, has there been a clear impact on these? And I believe these are the ones that we put down at the beach.
Yeah, they go into all
Can you come up here, please? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just want to make sure that you're on record and we can hear you.
So these go into all the units at the beach, so all the rental units, and we do see some movement from that. We do see the value in this. For the amount that we get, it's worth the impact is worth the small amount that we get right
Now,
there.
who's responsible for putting them in the units? I mean, for instance, I have 2 units.
Well,
They're not in mine.
yeah, so it's the Coast 360 concierge. So it's within the units that they go into there in the city. And unfortunately, I don't have all those things with me, so
They
I,
usually push it through the management company, so if you're managing yourself, you probably wouldn't get it. I mean,
Thank you.
they drop off boxes.
But I
at
did
the
want to
bank.
know who's this 360 giving them to? I mean, obviously, you know, all the.
well, we can
Brett
certainly
Robinson.
provide
Meyer,
a list
Brett
of every one of the
Robinson, Kaiser.
units for
Yeah.
you. We can ask them to provide that to us. But for the number that go out in a year, it's a pretty impactful amount for the number.
I mean, are y'all getting anything at the visitor center or at the museum that they show up and they say, yeah, we had a guide in the condo, so we showed up, we came to Fairhope because we, you know, word of mouth goes a long way, but then they show up and they say, yeah, we didn't even know about Fairhope, we got this guide and here we are.
So I have David's spoken to me about that, so I don't know that we necessarily have a
Yeah.
recording of that, but I do know that we get visitors from the beach as a result of this.
Okay. All right.
Can
Any
I-
comments, council? Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll make a few comments. You know, it's not that, relatively speaking, on the city budget, it's not a large amount. But personally, I don't think we got a problem bringing people into downtown Fairhope. Just my thought.
Anybody else have any comments on it? It's a small item, but I think that I really waffled on this small expense, but I guess I do think it is so small that maybe we give it time to give a little traction and see. I don't know at what time we put them out last year, if it was this time of the year or later in the year, but I'd say, because I did speak to you, Councilman Brown, I might be willing to give it another shot. See, I would like to know if we can determine what the effect it's having. Is that fair enough? It'd really be nice if you could ask the Coast 360 people, our Compass Media, to tell us what impact they're having, and then how do they measure that? I think that's a fair question for them. All right, council, with that, I'll entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay.
Nay.
All right, motion carries 4-1. Thank you, council. Item 11 is a resolution. That resolution number 3588-19 is hereby amended to change the permit fees and the laws. Paragraph as follows: the permit fee will be a non-refundable $100 for the first date and $200 for the second dates. No refunds for late arrivals or departures. All federal, state, and city laws, including resolutions and ordinances, remain in effect, i.e. the noise ordinance, et cetera, will be enforced. So this is just some cleaning up of that resolution. Clerk, just some wordsmithing there. So, council, I'll entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item number 12 is a resolution. The Fairhope City Council hereby authorizes Jack Burrell on behalf of the city council to negotiate a temporary farming rights lease for the approximately 114 acres of land located on the northwest corner of County Road 13 and 32. This is at 8875 County Road 32, and the lease shall carve out allowances to withdraw certain portions of the land from the lease agreement, which said portions of the land are designated and needed for public use. The lease agreement and declaring the land temporarily designated surplus will be brought back to the city council for approval. So, council, you know, I don't know if it'll be months or years before we do something with this land, but I do know this, it will be years before all of it is developed. I mean, we intentionally bought a lot of land so that it would take even decades maybe to build out. And so rather than that land sit idle, we can receive some revenue for the lease of that. And so I'd ask the council, I did negotiate the purchase of this land. I do know interested parties that would like to lease this land for farming. It does say it would carve out allowances, and that would be negotiated. But just to give you some idea, that might say that we might want to carve out 10 acres or 20 acres or 30 acres, given a 120 or 180-day notice for the city's use. So that's what we're thinking. And these would be what we would envision as just one-year leases as well. They would not be multi-year leases, so they would not tie this land down for the long term. So with that, I'll entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 13 is a resolution that the governing body of the city of Fairhope, Alabama hereby rescinds bid number 9-20 for the one HDPE trailer and one self-loading trailer for the electric department due to no bids being received, and authorize the city to solicit for informal bids in accordance with the Code of Alabama. Entertain a motion for this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 14 is a resolution the City Council approves the selection of Mott McDonald LLC to provide professional engineering services to perform survey design, right-of-way utility traffic and geotech services at the intersection of Twin Beach and US 98. This is the A-Trip 2 funds pursuant to the Rebuild Alabama Act, and hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to execute a contract with an estimated cost of $97,313. I'll entertain a motion for this, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Or just we'll say that this was not budgeted, but I believe that we've been talking about these improvements at this intersection for quite a while. So this would be in accordance with our portions of the cost of the improving this intersection. Okay, we have a motion and a second, right, clerk?
Yes,
Okay. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 15 is a resolution. The city council hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to execute an engagement agreement on behalf of the city with Local Government Services, LLC, for telecommunications and right-of-way management advisory services with a not-to-exceed cost of $10,000. Council, I'll just give you a quick overview of that. This was, if you look at the fee schedule back there, these are, probably some of the most preeminent government services company in the country, certainly the Southeast, and they will assist the city in cell phone tower lease, small cell tower, or small cell ordinance creation. In fact, they're working with the state of Alabama right now to come up with state laws for this. So who better than these people to help us draft our own ordinance that needs to be done ASAP. So with that, any questions on that? I'll entertain a motion to pass the resolution. Item 15.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 16 is a resolution. The city council approves the procurement of the unbudgeted demolition of the haul-out cell at the Fairhope docks for the Public Works Department from Asphalt Services Incorporated with a cost not to exceed of $23,864. Councilman Boone, do you want to maybe touch on that for just a moment?
Yeah, actually, with work coming in and the project, the way the council saw fit to, I want to go in the direction of the haul-out pit is kind of going to be, the west side of it was the end of the original contract, and it's another, 43 feet, 43 feet to extend it to take that portion out. And while they're there, we decided to just go ahead and take that portion out and put it as part of the bulkhead work.
Yeah, and not only that, the existing side, concrete on either side of that haul-out cell is completely void of soil under it.
That's correct.
Washed out, and is going to have to be repaired. You know, probably the extending, or if, well, this was for the demolition, but if we extend the pier there, this was going to have to be done anyway. So I went down there and looked at it with Councilman Boone and with Ms. Mazur and with also Mr. Johnson there, and I believe there may have been some others, but anyway, it just made sense that while we're trying to fix up that area near the covered shelters there and also in that area of the fuel dock, it just makes sense to demolish the haul-out cell that's there now. It's just really, you know, pretty dangerous. It serves no purpose, and it doesn't serve a purpose in the future plans for the marina either. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to pass the resolution concerning item 16.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 17 is a resolution that Mayor Karen Wilson is hereby authorized to execute change order number 1 to bid number 30-19, the Fairhope Docks Bulkhead Improvements Project for additional bulkhead installation to connect cover slips dock to the fuel dock. This addition to the Fairhope Docks Bulkhead Improvements Project will increase the cost in the amount not to exceed $20,000 and awarded the change order to Asphalt Services Incorporated, as I just mentioned in the previous discussion. Any questions about that? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to allow the mayor to execute the change order. All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 18 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to purchase 4 Motorola mobile radios, the APX 4500 7-18 megahertz for the new patrol vehicles for the police department. The type of equipment needed is on the Alabama State Department of Purchasing bid list, and therefore it does not have to be let out for bid, with a total cost of $12,519.20. Jimmy, is it budgeted?
It is, yep, and it's under budget pretty substantially.
It says it is.
Yeah, so-
All right. All right, can I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, a second, to purchase the radios. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 19 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to procure the renewal of Microsoft 365 E3 and Microsoft Exchange subscription annual licensing for the IT department. The type of maintenance renewal needed is available from Omnia Partners contract, therefore does not have to be let out for bid, with a cost of $67,884.39. Council, I will entertain a motion for this expense.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 20 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to procure multifunction network devices. These are copiers and plotters for a 36-month lease for the city, for the IT department. The type of equipment needed is on the Alabama State Department of Purchasing bid list, and therefore does not have to be let out for bid, with a cost of $18,265.92 per year. Jimmy, is that budgeted?
Let's see, it says, yep, budgeted, and looks like it was on target, so. Oh, but iPad's dead.
I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Can I get a second? I got 2 motions there.
Second.
All right, I got 2 motions and 2 seconds now.
Make it even.
There you go. Council, I will say, though, on this, I looked at these costs, and, you know, when they were comparing what we pay now to what we would be saving, I didn't necessarily think it was quite an apples-to-apples comparison. It seemed to be a little bit of an apples-to-oranges comparison. There seemed to be some expenses left out. I do want to take their suggestion on this time, but I'm still not so sure that that what we're doing is saving a lot of money, which was the reason they were wanting to change this, and getting away from, you know, the individual printers that everybody has. because not only do you have the cost, you have the cost per copy for these leases. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I looked at it, and these are the kind of things that I want to ask council in the future, that when they come up, that it's not enough to put the cost on the agenda of $18,000. I think that we need to be given, more information. I think we need to be given what the true costs are now, and compare that to what the true costs are with the new systems. Because I don't know if y'all have noticed, but I'm seeing the cost of our current copiers here, but you got to also look at the cost of per copy as well. And I think that I'm just really concerned about our rising costs, and whether or not we're being given enough information to make real good decisions on this. With that, I'll support it, but I just want to ask y'all to help me stay on top of these. I'm looking at you, Jimmy, because you're the budget guy, so you're the bean counter there. All right. We have a motion and a second, right, Clerk?
Yes, you do.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 21 is a resolution the City of Fairhope vote to procure a Phase 2 of the QSend Q-Alert software licensing for the support ticket system for residents and businesses for the IT department from QSend Technologies Incorporated with a cost of $10,800. Is this a budgeted item, Jimmy?
My battery is dead, so did not help you.
Yeah, and see, you got to have the hard copy here, man. You want my book? It says it's about $2,000 over budget of $8,700, so roughly 23% over budget. All right. I'm going to ask for a motion. Jimmy's out of pocket over there. His battery went dead.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. I didn't know that the guy with the battery being dead was going to make the motion. I was laughing. All right, item 22 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to procure a print count program to provide service and support to existing printers and ink as needed for the city, for the IT department. The type of equipment needed is on the Alabama State Department of Purchasing bid list, therefore does not have to be let out for bid. The cost is approximately $10,587.36. So now we're going to spend that for somebody to count the number of copies, or something to count the number of copies. Kim, you want to explain this? Please.
So the copiers, it's just basically a one for, on the number 20 was basically a one for what we have now. The only thing we're adding is the Welcome Center. What this print count program is it takes all of our current desktop printers and puts it on a program to where Dex Imaging through the state contract monitors how many copies that we're doing, and when the printers get low on ink, it sends out an alert to them to reorder ink for us automatically on the state contract pricing. Plus, if we have any parts that break on the desktop printers, they'll come out and fix it for us. So what we're trying to do is bring down the cost on our ink. I counted up all the requisitions that I could find for last year. We spent about $24,000. Well, close to $25,000. So all I'm doing is trying to bring down that cost of ink.
Is it going to bring it down by $10,587, you think?
We hope.
You're going to go from $24,000 to $14,000 because of this program? Are we wasting that much ink?
Wait, Jeff, is this $10,000 a yearly cost, or is this a one-time implementation fee and the cost is cheaper going forward?
It says the cost is approximately $10,587.36 per year. I'm sorry to jump in and answer it, but I was just.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how much it'll cost. We don't know how much we're going to print, so we're just taking a good guess. Because what they did is they monitored for about a month, a little over a month, of how many copies we were making, and that's the best we can do. It's just kind of base it off a month of usage.
Is this budgeted? I didn't see that this was budgeted expense.
It's budgeted in the office supplies for all the departments.
I don't know how it's possible it's gonna save us that much in ink. I mean, when you're out of ink, you know you're out of ink. We don't have people that know when you change the
I mean,
ink, we gotta have a program to tell
It
us that
doesn't
now.
cost us anything really to be in it. I mean, it's just we're on a state contract.
I'm not gonna support it, council, but anyway, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Aye. Or nay? All right, motion carries 4-1. All right, item 23 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to procure a paper cut solution to allow printing from any copier with an employee badge. It's a 36-month lease for the city for the IT department. The type of equipment needed is on the Alabama State Department of Purchasing bid list. Therefore, it does not have to be let out for bid. The cost will be $3,495.24 per year. You want to describe that? I'm
Yeah,
not familiar with that.
so these are just options for the copiers. I broke them out so y'all have the opportunity to vote on them one by one. So, like I said in the last council meeting, went over this. What this does is it's a program that runs through the network, and if it detects that somebody at their desk is going to print over, let's say, 30 pages, it automatically redirects the job to the copier because the copier has a lower print per page cost. So also what this does too is allow any employee, if they print a job to a copier, to go up to the copier and swipe their badge and retrieve their copies. What this does too is it helps us track who's spending what on copies, because right now it's just all bunched together in utilities, and you generally pretty much pay for it. So now we can break it out by department, know who's exactly printing what, and hopefully that'll help reduce costs. Maybe people won't be so inclined to print, stuff, and plus it saves big jobs from going to smaller printers. I hope that explained that good.
Okay. Any questions, council? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion for this resolution, please.
So moved. Second.
Can we have a motion and a second to procure the paper cut solutions? Any further discussion? Yeah, and as I was opposed to that last one, I am a little bit familiar with this method, and I do believe that this could cut back on waste and point to somebody that might be, I wouldn't say abusing it intentionally, but maybe making copies when sometimes you don't need copies, or just, where they're heavy, at least, point to the heavy users of the copy machine. So with that, I'd be in favor of that. It's pretty expensive at $3,500 a year, and sooner or later, this IT budget's going to have to slow down a little bit, Jeff, in my opinion. I think it's growing entirely too fast, and we don't have to have we don't have to have the latest and greatest of everything all the time. That's some good hard work, go a long ways to, not on your part, but on employees, knowing when they need ink, knowing when they need to order things, and not having to pay software to tell them when to do that would go a long way, in my opinion. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, thank you, council. Item 24 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to procure cloud-based fax services to be used with the voice over IP services for the IT department, and authorizes procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama. The cost will be $2,724.92 for FY 2020, or 8 months at $331.24 per month, and a $75 one-time origination fee. This is a 36-month lease agreement from Dex Imaging of Alabama. Anybody using cloud-based fax services?
I wish we didn't have to use fax at all, but apparently we still use it.
How many are we using? I mean, I had a fax
Yeah.
machine in my office until I realized it didn't ring for about
Yeah.
3 years.
Right now, we're spending about $3,800 on analog lines to do faxing, and we just gotta
I
kind of
mean,
move
but can we
on
not
for
just
that.
tell people we don't have fax lines? Scan it, email it? I mean, can we not do that? Can we not just tell people we don't have faxes? Eric?
We still we receive a lot of faxes from subcontractors, and we told them not to send us faxes, and now we just don't get the information. They're not scanning.
Well, if they don't get the information, then they don't get the permit then, right?
And this relates to compaction test for foundations and things like that.
But you are getting a lot of faxes then?
We have been. The fax machine went down and we're missing information that we need to have.
Police department's a heavy user of fax as well. They deal with that. They told me one time they deal with a lot of smaller agencies that just don't have the,
Okay.
you know.
All right. That's fair enough. That's fair enough. All right, any other questions for Jeff? Thank you for explaining that. Thank you, Eric, for that input.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, council, any questions for Jeff? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to procure the cloud-based fax services to be used with the voice over IP. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Thank you, Jeff. Item 25 is a resolution, the City of Fairhope vote to purchase 4 in-car and body camera systems and warranties for the Fairhope Police Department from WatchGuard Incorporated. The vendor is an exclusive and sole source manufacturer for this equipment. The system is available for procurement without formal bidding provided by the Code of Alabama at a total cost of $25,320. Council, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 26 is a resolution of the City of Fairhope vote to procure additional security to the Police Department, Museum, and Rec Center doors, a viewing station for IT, and the addition of an active module for better use management, and authorizes procurement based on the option allowed by the Code of Alabama. The cost will be $11,971.94. I'll entertain a motion for the
So
procurement.
moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 27 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a contract between the City of Fairhope and Thomas Hospital for the use of city facilities, including streets and parks, depending on availability, to help put on health-related programs, meetings, and programs affiliated with Thomas Hospital throughout the year in the Fairhope community. Schools are at hospital facilities. They would be responsible for any incidentals, damages, or security if necessary. Entertain a motion, council.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 28 is public participation. If you'd like to come forth for the council for any other item of interest to you, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record, and you will be given 3 minutes. Okay, seeing no one, I will close public participation. Council, City Attorney asks that we go into executive session. I'll read the letter. It says, as City Attorney Marcus McDowell, I hereby request the Fairhope City Council go into executive session based on Statute 36-25A-7A6 to discuss the consideration the city is willing to offer except when considering the purchase, sale, exchange, lease, or market value of real property. The discussions could have a detrimental effect upon the competitive position of the city in negotiations if the matter was discussed in public. City Attorney McDowell does hereby declare the City Council of the City of Fairhope rise from regular City Council meeting on Monday, December 23rd, 2019, to go into executive session. City Council shall be in executive session for approximately, I'm going to say, 30 minutes. Okay. 30 minutes. At the end of the executive session, the City Council shall return to the City Council chambers to resume regular City Council meeting. The time is 5:41, according to the clock in the back. City Council exits the dais to go into executive session. Can I entertain a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Whoa. You wanted to do the resolution?
Oh, we do have a resolution. I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself. We do have a resolution to authorize the mayor.
You gotta do the.
Okay. I need a motion to amend the agenda by adding on an item.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, now we will amend the agenda with the following resolution. Let me read that.
You want me to read?
I'll read it.
You can't really read much.
All right. I says the Fairhope City Council hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to negotiate for a proposed purchase of certain property that is to be utilized by the Fairhope Police Department for a future precinct and other public purposes.
And it's a proposed letter of intent.
Okay, to negotiate, I'm sorry, okay, so Fairhope City Council hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to negotiate a proposed letter of intent for a proposed purchase of certain property that is to be utilized by the Fairhope Police Department for a future precinct and other public purposes. Can I entertain that motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries, and you can watch that video and catch that, clerk.
Or you can just pass her that.
Well, she may not be able to read that chicken scratch. I don't know. All right, now I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.